Alright, Subpart G, train operation track classes and 6 and higher. 213.301, scope of the subpart. The subpart applies to all track UP the operation trains at speed greater than 290 miles an hour for the passenger equipment and greater than 80 miles an hour for freight equipment. 213.303, responsibility for compliance. Any owner of the track of the ways of the subpart apply with the notice if the track does not comply with all the requirements and subpart shall bring the track into compliance or hold the operation over the track if the owner of the track with the subpart apply with the assignment responsibility for the track and another person or by lease or otherwise notification assignment shall be provided with the appropriate FRA regional office at least 30 days in advance of the assignment. Notification may be made to any of the party of the assignment shall be written with including the following the name of the address of the track owner, the name of the address of the person to whom the responsibility is assigned and assigner, a statement of the exact relationship between the track owner and the assigner, the precise identification of the track, a statement as to competency of the ability of the assigner to carry out the duty of the track owner under the subpart, a statement signed by the assigner acknowledging the signing to that person responsible for the purpose of complying with this part. The administrator may hold the track owner and the assigner both are responsible for the compliance with the subpart with the subject for the penalties under 213.15 when any person, including the contractor or the railroad track owner, performs the function required by this part of the person is required to perform that function in accordance with this part. 213.305, designation qualified individual general qualification. Each track owner who which if the subpart applies shall designate a qualified individual responsible for the maintenance and inspection for the track in compliance with the safety of the requirements prescribed in subpart. In the subpart, each individual indicating with the contractor and or employee of the contractor who is not railroad employee designated to supervise the restoration and renewal of the track shall meet the following minimum requirements: at least 5 years responsible for supervisor experience for the railroad track maintenance in class 4 for the higher the successful completion of the course offered by the employer or by a college level engineering program supplemented by the special on-the-job training emphasizing the techniques employees in supervision and restoration renewal high-speed track. To a combination of at least one year responsible supervisor experience with the track maintenance for the class 4 or higher with the successful completion of the minimum of 80 hours of specialized training in the maintenance of the higher speed track provided by the employer or by a college level engineering program supplemented by the special job training provided with the employer emphasis for the maintenance of the high speed track. A combination of at least 2 years of experience in the track maintenance in the track class 4 with a higher successful completion of the minimum of 124 hours specialized training in the maintenance for the high speed of the track provided with the employer by or college level engineering program supplemented by the special on-the-job training provided with the employer with the emphasis maintenance of high-speed track demonstrate the track owner with the individual know the understanding the requirements of the subparts by the apply with the restoration renewal of the track which he or she is responsible can detect deviation from the requirements and can prescribe appropriate remedial action to correct and safely come up and say with these deviations may be authorized in writing of the track owner prescribe the remedial actions to correctly safely compensate with the deviations for the requirements and subpart successful completion. As required, recorded examination subparts as the qualification process. They inspect the track on the defects shall meet the following minimum qualifications: at least 5 years responsible experience inspecting tracks on class 5 or 4 above, the successful completion for the course offered an employer by the college level engineering program supplemented on special on-job training emphasis technique for the employed inspection with a high-speed track. A combination of at least 1 year of the responsible experience of the track inspection class 4 above, the successful completion of minimum of 80 hours specialized training and inspection of high-speed track are provided with the employer or college level engineering program supplemented by the special job on the job training provided with the employer with the emphasis of the inspection high-speed track, a combination with at least 2 years of experience with the track maintenance for the class 4 of the above, successful completion of the minimum of 124 hours specialized training in inspection of high-speed track provided with the employer from this college level engineering program supplemented a special job on the training provided with the employer on emphasis on inspection of a high-speed track. 2. Demonstrate the track owner that the individual knows and understands the requirements of subpart apply with the inspection over the track which he or she is responsible, can detect deviation through the requirements, can prescribe appropriate remedial action to correct and safely compensate for those deviations, be authorized in writing track owner prescribe remedial action to correct and safely compensate the deviation of the requirement of subpart successfully completion, record examination of subpart as part of the qualification process, individual designated in paragraph A, B of this section. The inspection continues while the rail track supervised with the installation of the adjustment maintenance for the continuous while the rail in accordance with the written procedure established in track owner shall have one qualification record either in paragraph A or B of the section successfully completed with the training course of at least 8 hours duration specifically developed on for the application written and continuous while the rail procedure issued on track owner demonstrate that the track owner with the individual knows the understand requirements of those in the continuous while the rail procedure can detect deviation from those requirements can prescribe the appropriate remedial action to correct the safely compensate for those deviations. 4. When with written authorization, track owner prescribe remedial action to correct and safely compensate for the deviation from the requirements of the procedure successfully completion record examination of those procedures as part of the qualification process. The record examination may be written or it may be on the computer file with the result of the interactive training course. The person not fully qualified to supervise the certain renewals inspections outlined in the paragraph A, B, and C of this section, but with at least 1 year maintenance of the way of the signal experience may be passed for the train over the broken rails, pull parts, provided that the track owner determined the person is qualified as part of the doing so, but re-examine the person periodically within the 2 years of each prior examination on the following topics to relate with the safe passage of the train over the broken rails and pull parts and rail defect identification, cross-tie conditions, track surface alignment to gauge resistance, restraints, rail and mismatched joint bars, maximum distance between the rail ends over which the train may be allowed to pass, and the sole purpose of the examination is the assertion of the person to the person. Do they effectively apply the requirements of examination may not be used to qualify the person other than minimum 4 hours of training and adequate initial training. The person deemed to safe with the train speed limited maximum 10 miles an hour over the broken or pulling apart, broken rail or pull apart. The person shall watch all the movements over the broken rail or pull apart, prepare to stop at the train if necessary. For a person fully qualified under 213-305 of the subpart, notify dispatch location as soon as practicable for the purpose of authorization movement affecting the temporary permanent repairs. E. With the respective designation on paragraph A, B, C, and D of this section, each track owner shall maintain a written record, one each designation effect, the basis of each of the designation, including but not limited to the exact nature of any of the train course, extent of the dates thereof, to the manner in which the track owner determined the successful completion of the train course, including test scores and other qualifying results. Track inspection made at each individual on 213-369. The record shall be made available for the inspection copying the FRA Railroad Administration during the regular business hours. Alright, 213-307 class track operation speeds limits. Acceptance provided in paragraph B of this section, otherwise provided in subpart G, the following maximum allowable speeds of the tracker. Class 6, 110 miles an hour. Class 7, 125 miles an hour. Class 8, 160 miles an hour. The other over the track that meets all the requirements prescribed in subpart Class 9 track, 220 miles an hour. If the segment of the track does not meet all the requirements for the intent of it to be reclassified to the next lower class of the track for which does meet all the requirements for the subpart. If the segment does not meet all the requirements for the Class 6, the requirements for Class 1 through 5 apply. 213-309, restoration and renewal of the track under traffic condition. Restoration and renewal of the track under traffic condition limited to replace with the worn, broken, missing component for fastening if they do not affect the safe passage of the train. The following activities expressly prohibited under traffic conditions. Any work of the interpret the rail continuing as a joint bar replacement or rail replacement. Any work that adversely affects the lateral vertical stability of the track is exemption of the spot tampering is isolated with the condition where there are not more than 15 lineal feet of the track are involved at any one time and the ambient air temperature is not above 95 degrees temperature Fahrenheit. Remove with the placement of the rail fastenings or more of the time within 15 feet. Alright, 213-311, measuring track under the load. When the unloaded track is measured to determine the compliance with the requirements of the subpart evidence for the rail, if any of it occurs while the track is loaded, shall be added to the measurement of the unloaded track. 213-313, application requirements. Unless otherwise provided in this part, requirements specified in the curve track are applied only to the track curve having a curve greater than a quarter degree. 213-317 waivers. Any owner track with which is subparts apply with a position Federal Rail Administration for the waivers from any of the any or all the requirements prescribed in this part. Each petition of the waiver under the section should be filed in a manner containing the following information required in 211.7 and 211.9 of the chapter. If the administrator finds the waiver in the public interest consisting with the railroad safety, the administrator may grant the waiver subject to any condition the administrator deems necessary. Where the waiver is granted, the administrator publishes notice containing the response of the granting waiver. curve. 213-319 drainage. Each drainage or other water carrying facility under and immediately adjacent to the roadbed shall maintain, keep free of obstruction, and accommodate expected water flow from the area concerned. 213-321 vegetation. Vegetation from real property which is on immediately adjacent to the roadbed shall be constructed so that it does not become fire hazard if the track carrying structure obstructs visibility with the road sign and signals, align the right-of-way with the highway rail crossing, interfere with the railroad employees performing normal trackside duties. D. Prevent proper function with the signals and communication lines. E. Prevent railroad employees from visually inspecting and moving the equipment from their normal duty station. 213-323 track gauge. Gauge is measured between the heads of the rail at the right angle of the rail plane with a 5/8 of an inch below the top of the rail head. Gauge shall be within the limits of prescribed page. Class 5, 4/8 of an inch, and it must be at least 4 and 8 inches for class 6, 7, and 8, but not more than 4 and 9 1/4 inches. Then change gauge for the requirement 6 to 3/4 of an inch, and the rest of them 7, 8, and 9 are 1/2 an inch. And then class 9, the gauge must be 4 foot 8 1/4 inches, but not more than 4 foot 9 1/4 inches. And the change in the gauge within 31 feet must not be greater than 1/2 inch. Alright, track alignment. Uniformly, any point of the track is established averaging with a measure of an edge cord offset from the 9 to consecutive points that are centered around the point. At that point, special space are accordingly to the following table: 31 foot, 7 foot, 9 foot, and 7 foot 9 inches, 62 foot, 15 foot, and 6 inches, 124 foot, 31 foot. Except to provide in paragraph C with the section, the single alignment of deviation uniformly may not be more than the amount prescribed in the following table. This shows your tangent and your curve, the class track with deviation 31 mid-chord, offset 62, and 124 foot chord. For operation of qualified cant deficiency, more than 5 inches in sign alignment deviation from the uniformity outside rail, but it may not be more than the amount prescribed in the following table. Alright, for the 3 or more no overlapping deviations of the uniformity alignment occurring with this is an equal 5 times specified in chord length, any of which is limits of the following table. Track owner shall maintain alignment with the track with the limits of the prescribed for the deviation. For the purpose of complying with the section and with the chord shall at the point of the gauge side with the rail 5/8 of an inch below the top of the railhead on tangent track either may be viewed with the line of rail. However, the same rail shall be made sheave for the full length of the tangential segment of the track. On a curved track, the line rail is outside the rail over the curve. 213-329 curves and elevation speeds. The maximum elevation outside rail curve may not be more than 7 inches. The outside rail of the curve may not be more lower than the inside rail design, except when engineered to address specific track and operating condition limited in 213-331. Applied in all this case, the maximum level of posted time speed for each curve is determined in the following formula. Your maximum level of posted timetable operating speed is equal to the square root of actual elevation outside the rail plus actual qualified cant deficiency in inches of the vehicle type divided by 7/10,000ths of the degree of the curvature. All vehicles concerning qualified operating with a track of the cant deficiency not exceeding 3 inches of the table 1 and the appendix A with the part of the table speed computed in accordance with the formula paragraph B of the section when the qualified cant deficiency is equals 3 inches of the various elevation degree of the curvature. Each vehicle type of the approved with the FRA operating with a track of the qualified deficiency greater than 3 inches. Each vehicle the type of the demonstrated with the ready on service or load condition compliance with the requirements of either paragraph D1 or 2 of the section when positioned on the track within uniformly super elevation equal to the proposed cant deficiency. No wheel of the vehicle type loads or values less than 60% of the static value with the perfect level of the track for passenger cars. The roll angle between the floor of the equipment with the horizontal does not exceed 8.6 degrees. When operating through the constant radius degree of the constant speed corresponding with the proposed cant deficiency with the test plan submitted and improved with the FRA in accordance with 213-345 E and F. The steady state of the average load of any of the wheel weather there throughout the body of the curve is not less than 60% of the static value of the perfect level of the track, and for the passenger car with the steady state with the average lateral acceleration measured for the floor car body with the design seat 15 hundredths of a gig. or G. The track owner and the railroad shall transmit the result of the testing specified in paragraph D of this section of the FRA Associated Administrative Rail Safety Chief Safety Officer requesting approval of the vehicle type of the operating with a desire over the curved speed or allowing under the formula paragraph B of the section. The request should be made with a written containing the minimum following information. A description of the vehicle type involved, including the systematic diagram, suspension systems, estimated location of the center of the gravity above the top of the rail. Test procedures include the level of loaded condition under which the testing was performed in the description. An instrument used to qualify the vehicle as well with the maximum value of the wheel unloading and the rolling of the angles of the acceleration where they observed during the test. For the vehicle not subject to Part 238 and 229 of the chapter procedure for the same in effect will relate to the maintenance of all the safety critical components of the suspension system, particular vehicles and safety critical components for the suspension system are those impact with a significant influence for the role of the car body, the distribution weight of the cars, and if improving the request made by the pursuant paragraph E of the section of the FRA imposed the conditions necessary to safely operating with a higher curved speed of the FRA. The approval of the request of the track owner railroad shall notify the FRA in writing no less than 30 calendar days prior to the proposed implementation approval of the higher curve speeding allowed used under the formula paragraph B of the section. Notification shall be containing minimal identification of the track limits of which the higher curve are to be implemented. The documents are required by this section must be approved provided by the FRA of the track owner and or the railroad that provides the service of the same type of the same vehicle type of other than the trackage. One more, the track owner with written consent is due to the effect of the track owner. H1 vehicle type is permitted by the FRA to operate and the can deficiencies greater than 3 inches but not more than 5 inches shall be considered qualified under the section to operate those permitted in can deficiencies of any class 6 track segment of the track owner of the railroad shall notify the FRA with written no less than 30 calendar days prior to the proposed implementation of any curve speeding in accordance with the paragraph F of this section. 2. Vehicle types permitted by the FRA to operate in can deficiencies greater than 5 inches on Class 6 tracks or greater than 3 inches on Class 7 tracks through 9 shall be considered qualified under section to operate those permitted can deficiencies only for the previously operated with the identification track segment operating the vehicle type. Such can deficiency track classes any other track segment is permitted only in accordance with the qualification requirements of the subpart. As used in section 213.33 3 and 213.345. Vehicles mean a vehicle with a defined 229.5 with the chapter of freight with a car with a defined 215.5 with the chapter passenger car defined 238.5 of the chapter. Any of the rail rolling equipment used in a train with either the freight car or a passenger car. Vehicle type means like vehicles variation physical properties such as suspension, mass, interior arrangements, dimensions that do not result in significant change of dynamic characteristics. 213.33 1 track surface. For the single deviation track surface, each for the track owner shall maintain the surface of the track and with the limits prescribed in the following table. Track surfaces for class 6, 7, 8, and 9. Track surfaces continued. Track surfaces in inches. The operation of unqualified can with deficiency more than 5 inches for the single deviation surface is to be within limits prescribed in the following table. For 3 or more non-overlapping deviation track surfaces occurring with a distance equivalent to the 5 times specified quarter on limit length of each will exceed the limits of the following table. Each track owner shall maintain the surface of the track within the limits prescribed in each deviation. Alright, 2/3 this of the track surfaces class for the track for 7 through 8 through 9, chord foot 31, 62, 124 for all the other shit, like the last 2 tables. The section applies to any curved track will they operate for the technically qualified tangent division greater than 5 inches to all the class in the track, and either the curved tangent for the conditions defined in paragraph A of the section combination alignment with the surface deviation the same with the chord length with the outside of the rail with the curve at any of the 2 rail tangent sections are measured in tangent track geometry measurement system showing the line with the following format 3/4 times the AML, ALL, SML, or 3/4 times the measured alignment deviation uniformity outside of the inward in negativity over the allowable alignments and limit of the per 213 always positive for the class. Plus measured profile deviation uniformity down the positive and negativity allowed profile. Alright, Alright, 213-3033, automated vehicle pose and inspection. The qualifying track geometry measurement system shall be operated with the following frequency. For the operation qualified can deficiency more than 5 inches of the track classes through 1 through 5 at least twice per calendar year with no less than 120 days between the inspection. For class 6s, at least 1 per calendar year with no less than 170 days between inspection. For the operating qualified can deficiencies of more than 5 inches on the track, the class 6 at least twice per calendar year with not less than 120 days between inspection. For the track class 7 at least twice within 120 days, with not less than 25 days within inspection. For the class 8 and 9, at least twice within an 60-day period within not less than 12 days between inspections. A qualifying track geometry measurement system shall exceed the minimum design requirements while specifying that the track geometry measure shall be no more than 3 feet away from the contact point with the wheels carrying the vertical load, no less than 10 KIPs per wheel unless otherwise approved by the FRA. Track geometry measurement shall be taken and recorded with this distance based on sample interval perfectly 1 foot, not exceeding 2 feet, and calibration procedure parameters are assigned to the system with the assured of the measure the required values that accurately present the track conditions. The track geometry measurement record of the system shall not differ for the repeated runs at the same time, the same speed, more than 1/8 of an inch. Qualifying track geometry measurement system shall be capable of measuring, processing necessary track geometry parameters to determine the compliance with 1 for the operation qualified can deficiency more than 5 inches of the track classes 1 through 5 and 213-53 track gauges 213-55B track alignment 213-57 curve elevation speed limitation 213-63 track surfaces and 213-65 combined track alignment and surface deviations. 2 for classes 6 through 9 statute 213-323 and track gauge 213-327 track alignment 213-329 curves and elevation and speed limitation 213-331 track surface and operation for the can deficiency of more than 5 inches and 213-332 combined track alignment and surface deviation. The qualified track geometry system measurement system shall be capable of producing within 24 hours of the inspection output reports that provide continuous plot on the constant distance that exists for the elementary track geometry parameters required in paragraph C of the section. Provide an exemption report for the containing systematic listing of all the track geometry conditions constituting exemption of the class of the track over the segment surveyed. The output reports required under the paragraph C of the section shall contain the sufficient location identification information enable the field surface to easily locate and indicate the exemptions. The following the track inspection performed by the qualified track geometry measurement system, the track owner shall within 2 days after inspection field verify the institute with remedial action all exemption for the class track. The track owner of the railroad shall maintain the period of 1 year following the inspection performed by the track geometry measurement system a copy of the pilot exemption report for the track of the segment involved in additional records which specify the date and inspection who made for the track and segment and involve the specified location remedial action to the date thereof and the established listed and exemption to the classes. Alright, for class 8 through 9, qualifying gauge resistant measurement system shall be operated with at least once per calendar year within at least 170 days between inspection. The lateral capacity of the track structure shall not permit gauge wide projection greater than a half an inch. Gauge resistant measurement system shall meet the minimum design requirements specifically specify that 1 the gauge resistance shall be measured between the heads of the rail at intervals not exceeding 16 inches under the implied vertical load not less than 10 KIPs per rail and under an applied lateral load provided with the lateral vertical load ratio between 0.5 and 1.25 and load severity greater than 3 KIPs less than 8 KIPs per rail. Load severity is defined by the following formula. Load severity defined lateral load applied with the fastener system is equal to the actual lateral load applied in KIPS time minus the coefficient friction between the rail tie, which is an assigned nominal value of 4/10, and V actual vertical load applied with the KIP static vertical wheel load, and the vertical load is not measured. Alright, the measured gauge loaded value of the wire shall be converted with the gauge wide projection as follows. Gauge wide projection is equal to LTG, the load track gauge measurement for the gauge resistant measurement with a point of no more than 12 inches of lateral load application, minus the unloaded track measurement by the gauge resistant measurement track no less than 10 feet from the lateral vertical load application, times 8.26 divided by the actual lateral load applied minus 0.258 times V. Actual vertical load applied or static vertical wheel load, vertical load is not not measured. Alright, 1 is further specified in the combination track class for the deficiency of the vehicle subject of the paragraph J1 through 3 of the section. A vehicle having the dynamic response characteristic for the representative of other vehicles assigned with the service shall be operated over the route with the revenue speed profile of the vehicle shall either be instrumented with the equipped with a portable device for the monitoring onboard instrumentation of the train. The track personnel should be notified with the onboard accelerator meters indicate the possible track related testing with it shall be conducted with the frequency specified in paragraph J1 through J3. The section unless otherwise determined the FRA after the review of the testing data is required by this subpart. For the operation of the can deficiency of more than 5 inches on the class 1 through 5/6 car body acceleration should be monitored at least once each calendar quarter for the not less than 25 days between inspection. Only at least one passenger each of the type of assignment from the service. For operations of class 7 speeds, car body track acceleration should be monitored at least twice within a 60-day period with not less than 12 days between inspections at least once passenger car on each type that is assigned to the service. For the operation class 8 and 9 of the car body acceleration monitored for at least 4 times of any 7-day period with not more than 3 days between inspection on the least on the non-passenger, 1 passenger carrying vehicle of each type that is assigned with the service of the appropriate truck acceleration which shall be monitored at least twice within 60-day period with not less than 12 days in between the inspection of at least 1 passenger car vehicle carrying vehicle of each of the types assigned with the service appropriate. Alright, K, the instrumented vehicle with a portable device is required in the paragraph J with the section shall be monitored lateral vertical acceleration car body accelerator meters shall attach for the car body on and under the floor of the vehicle as near the center of the truck as practical. In addition, the device measuring lateral acceleration shall be mounted on the truck frame longitudinal location close with the practicable with the axle center line with the outside axle for trucks containing more than 2 axles if approved with the FRA as an alternate location and monitoring with a day of 2 years and 1 million miles, whichever comes first. The track owner of the railroad maintain the FRA with the exemption from this requirement. If any of the car body, lateral car body, vertical or truck frame lateral acceleration safety limits in the section table of the vehicle track and interaction safety limits exceed the corrective action shall be taken when necessary. The track personnel shall be notified with the accelerator meter indicated possible track related problems. Alright, L, for the track of the class 8 through 9 with the track owner railroad shall submit the report to the FRA once each calendar year which provides an analysis of the monitoring data collected within according with the paragraph J through K of the section. Based on the review of the report, the FRA may require instruments, vehicles having dynamic response characteristics that have representative of the other vehicles assigned to the service to operate over the operate over the track over the revenue specified profile. Instrument vehicles shall be equipped to measure the wheel rail forces, if any, with the wheel rail force limits within the section table of the vehicle track interaction safety limits exceed the appropriate speed restriction shall be applied until the corrective action is taken. Alright, and the track owner of the railroad shall maintain a copy of the most recent exemption records for inspections required in paragraph J, K, and L of this section as appropriate. Alright, your wheel rail force, the single wheel vertical load is safety limit less than 5/100 of 5 feet. Alright, 213.3.33.4 ballast. Unless it's otherwise structurally supported with the track support with the material which will transmit, distribute the load over the track, railroad rolling equipment to the subgrade, restrain with the track laterally, longitudinally, vertically under the dynamic loads imposed with the railroad rolling equipment, thermal stress exerted by the rails, provide adequate drainage for the track, maintain proper track cross-level surface alignment. 213.33.5. Trial establish shall be made with the material with which the rails circularly fasten each of the 39-foot segment of the track. A sufficient number of the cross sides which combination provide with the effect of the support over that will hold the gauge within limits prescribed in 213.323b, but to maintain surface within limits prescribed in 213.33.1, and to maintain alignment within the limits prescribed in 213.327. The minimum number of the type of the cross sides specified in paragraph C of the section effectively distributed to the support over the entire segment. The cross type of the type specified in paragraph C of the section are as in located joint location specified in E of the section. For non-concrete tie construction, each 39-foot segment of Class 6 track shall have the 14 cross ties, Class 7 and 8 through 9 shall have 18 cross ties or not broken through and split, otherwise impaired with the extent of the cross ties will allow the ballast of the work through them will not hold the spikes or rail fasteners so deteriorated that the tie plate with the base of the rail can move laterally 3/8 of an inch relatively to the cross tie cut by the tie plate through more than 40% of the cross tie thickness and configured with less than 2% two rail holding spike fastening per tie plate so unable to do the efficient fastening of the tie so load maintain longitudinal restraint maintaining the rail hold down of the gauge for the concrete tie construction. Each 39-foot segment of the Class 6 track shall be then 14 cross ties. The Class 7, 8, and 9 shall have 16 cross ties or not more, which are not so deteriorated that the pre-stressed strands effective with the withdrawal within the tie, one end of the tie exhibit the structural cracks in the rail seat of the cage of the track. Configured with less than 2 fasteners at the same on the same rail, deteriorated with the vicinity with the rail fastener shaft of the fastener assembling, but may pull over the more laterally more than 3/8 of an inch relatively to the cross tie. So deteriorated that the fastener base of the plate base of the material of the rail moved laterally even more than 3/8 of an inch relatively to the cross tie. So deteriorated that the rail seat aberration with a sufficiently deep as of the cost of the loss of the rail fastener toe load completely broken through, so unable to do the insufficient fastener toe load to maintain longitudinal restraint and maintain the rail hold down gauge. Class 6 they shall have the one non-defective cross tie with the whose center line is within 18 inches of the rail joint location. 2 cross ties with the center line are within 24 inches of each side of the rail load joint location. Class 7, 8, and 9 shall have two non-defective ties within 24 inches of each of the side of the rail joint. For the track constructed without cross ties, slab track with the track connected directly to the bridge structure component of the track structure shall meet the requirements of paragraph B1, 2, and 3 of this section. In Class 7, 8, and 9, there shall be at least 3 non-detective ties each side of the defective tie. Where the timber cross ties are in use, there shall be the tie plate under the running rail for at least 9 of the consecutive ties. No metal object which causes the concentrated load and be solely supporting the rail shall be allowed between the base of the rail and repairing surface of the tie plate. Alright, 213.333.7. Defective rails. When an owner of the track of the which with the part applied for learning through the inspection otherwise the rail in the track that contained the defects listed in the following table, a person designated on 213.305 shall determine whether or not the track may continue in use. If any person determines that the track may continue use, the operation over the defect rail is not permitted until 1. The rail is replaced and 2. The remedial action prescribed in the table is initiated. For up to 24 hours prior to such visual inspection replacement of the repair B,
Can I interrupt you for a few minutes while I do your carpet?
Yeah, that's fine.